Thank you for listening to the Flying High Club podcast in association with the World Aviation Festival 2024 in Amsterdam. We've been delighted to be able to bring you this, and it wouldn't have been possible without our sponsors, Flyware. Flyware are experts in aviation and travel space, providing tech outsourcing services focused on increasing revenue and making your operations more efficient. Without their support, we wouldn't be able to bring you what we are bringing you today. And more importantly, what we need you to do is, if you want to find out more about Flyware, please check the caption below for more details. Thank you for subscribing and keep following us. Keep flying high. Welcome everyone to the Flying High Club podcast. We are live and direct from the World Aviation Forum 2024. We are delighted with the lineup we have today, and particularly our guest that we have with us today, someone very close to me, as you know, based in Dubai. So we're going to be talking all things Dubai airports and more. I'm delighted to introduce to you the CEO of Dubai Airports, Paul Griffiths. Paul, welcome to the Flying High Club.
It's a great pleasure to be here.
How are you? How's it all going?
It's going very well, I have to say. You know, the world's in a tricky place at the moment, but life in Dubai seems to carry on. Numbers are good. We're growing this year. We're actually going to achieve 93 million passengers, I think, if the forecasts are right. And that's a record number. We've exceeded by a comfortable margin our pre-pandemic numbers. So, yeah, things are pretty good.
Healthy, that's what we want to hear about the industry, and that's what we're trying to get across in these podcasts to show what an amazing industry this is, and we're going to get into all of that. So I'm going to start first of all with the World Aviation Festival. We're here in partnership with them. The first thing I want to ask you is, the World Aviation Festival or conferences like this, why are things like this so important in our industry?
Well, I think the thing is that we are a very social industry. We're all about moving people around the world in the best and most effective and efficient way. And the whole supply chain of achieving that requires so many different stakeholders, you know, airlines, airports, you know, travel organizations, catering, engineering, aircraft manufacturers. I mean, the list is massive and incredibly long. So coming to festivals like this gives us an opportunity to really sense check where the world is, get some ideas about innovation, hear people speak on their specialist subjects, and actually I learn an awful lot here by hearing people speak, talking to suppliers, talking to people in the industry, and of course you make contacts to move the world forward in aviation. So it's a very, very valuable event.
Perfect. Okay. And you talked about the latest innovations or products. Hopefully you've had a small chance to get around. I know you're very popular and very busy in the panels and what have you. But having walked around, what are the kind of innovations and startups that you're really interested in, particularly when you think about Dubai airports?
Well, the interesting thing about the way airports are being designed at the moment is I think that we actually are on the cusp of a revolution. And that is because technology is moving so quickly. I mean, if you were to come to an exhibition like this 10 years ago, about 10% of it would be about technological change. But actually, and the other 90% would be engineering solutions and component parts and different galleys for aeroplanes, all that sort of thing. But now, I think it's switched around, and at least 90% of the places that I've visited today are talking about software and applications and different techniques to optimize what's already there in the industry, but to make it slicker, faster, cheaper, better, and enable the entire supply chain right across the whole of the different sectors of the industry to function in a more connected way. And actually that sort of mirrors the approach we've taken on the ground in Dubai. It's incredibly important for us to keep abreast of the opportunities, because I think the future of airports is much more about the systems and technology that they embrace rather than the grandeur of their architecture. You know, we need to be far more slick, far more efficient, and recognize what customers really want, and that is speed and comfort. You know, there are places in the airport where people want to go through very quickly with the minimum of fuss. Those are check-in, baggage reclaim, security, border control, all of those things. And where we do need to work on increasing the comfort is the dwell spaces, the lounges, the concourses, making them compact, efficient, but actually nice places for people to be.
Yeah, no, it makes absolute sense. So moving on to Dubai airports, and just linking back to what you're saying there, is it's a great place to be, to have so many vendors talking about technology. How do organizations like Dubai airports funnel that down? I'm sure your research and development teams are on your case about signing off business cases or venturing into some of these unknown spaces or things that will create opportunity for your airports. How difficult is it to kind of narrow down on, and what is that kind of process like for you as a CEO? Because
well, it used to be that I think, no one got fired for buying IBM. That was the thing, the way technology moved forward. You found a single supplier that you could depend on and you bought everything from them. The world could not be more different from that model now. And I think the whole idea that you can buy from a tiny company, which might be just a few individuals, a solution and technological application that is groundbreaking to change the entire face of your operation, that is eminently possible now. So I'm constantly on at our procurement people to say, look, don't look at the scale and size of the organization, look at the capability of the team and the innovative, change-worthy application to which their top technology can be put, so that is a really, really different way at looking at the world. So no matter how small, we will never turn our back and dismiss a company. We will look at the product and technology and its application, and it's very, very surprising how some of the small players in this space can make huge differences if you've got the right application and the right solution to put to it.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. And I think it will be really reassuring to some of the tech startups listening to this to know that, places like Dubai airports would be accessible should they have the capability, most importantly, to deliver on what they're putting forward. So that's reassuring.
I also think the attitude to failure has changed. I mean, the world now is saying, look, let's try and see if we can use something, and if it doesn't work, the investment won't be huge. So, I'd rather try 100 things and find 10 things that work than try 5 things and only 4 of them work. You're much better having a smaller slice of a much bigger application pie than try and research and develop things on your own. That's not the way the world is working.
And that's a really refreshing approach. I think we had Willie talking about it earlier as well, about the importance to change and the ability to make learn from your mistakes, and the environment where mistakes are okay as long as you're learning from them and moving forward in the right direction. Would you say that's impacted by culture as well? Because I think we see places like the US where it's quite gung-ho in that sense. They are open to it. I think Europe sometimes there's a lot of stuffiness in terms of pressure in that sense. If I get it wrong, that could be me on the line. Do you feel it's a cultural piece, or do you feel it's more from a corporate perspective what you're pushing down as a CEO in terms of that culture?
I would actually turn that on its head and say, there's a reason why the world's most valuable companies now are tech companies. And that is because the world has changed. And I think the only variable is the human ability to adopt that change in the quickest possible way. And I think in America, where this technology has been largely invented, they are quite quick to adopt it in some areas not quite so quick. So I really do think that the barriers for technical development are less about the software and hardware and much more about the human interface. Very often you see technical solutions which, if they were implemented quickly, could really make a massive change. But it's the human barrier, I think, that often stands in our way. The fact that people, it's a bit like if you put goldfish in the sea, they probably still swim round in a circle for a while. Humans are a bit like that. Some people are a bit resistant to it. As a CEO, I think I have a responsibility to really push people and to really push the boundaries of change, and also stop people saying, well, the problem is because you can't do this because so-and-so. I've heard on the panel I just spoke on, frustrations with government-run institutions that are not customer-focused. But, we have educated everyone in the supply chain across the whole of Dubai airports what an important part they play in delivering the customer journey. And at the end of the day, if we didn't have customers, we wouldn't have a city, we wouldn't have an airport, we wouldn't have airlines. So they are by far the most important component part of our entire supply chain. And I think we've educated and informed and encouraged people to think of the customer very, very differently.
Yeah. And it's always refreshing to hear that, the CEO going back to what is the core value of what you're offering, which is that customer experience and value add to the customer. Because as you say, we can get lost in that corporate world of that decision making or what we're trying to be, the biggest airport, the most technological, but actually it comes down to that very core, doesn't it? It's about that customer and their experience when they're walking through your terminals.
Well, we're always conscious of the fact that as a predominant hub, that a large majority, I think up to 85% of our customers could actually choose to transit through a different place. We want to give them absolutely no reason why they would even think of transiting through one of our competitor hubs. And that way, I think that quality of service and the ability to deliver something that others struggle with, I think keeps people coming back for more. I'm very proud of the fact that our growth numbers have been extraordinary, and we, as I've said earlier, we are now actually achieving record throughput through DXB, and we've been the busiest airport in the world for international passengers for more than 10 years now. So that is an achievement. But I think an even greater achievement is the fact that despite these huge volumes and the limited increase in the size and scale of our facilities, we're now getting higher staff and customer satisfaction scores than we've ever had before. And actually, this is quite a good illustration of how technology has changed the world. When I joined Dubai Airports in 2007, we had 5,200 employees and 30 million passengers. Now we've got 93 million passengers and 1,700 employees. So we've had a productivity gain of sixfold. And that's largely been because of the improvements of our technology, where we've adopted so many new technologies to transform the way we manage our business, and also the fact that we've trained and developed our staff. We take graduates on into our workforce every single year, and we now have a policy of promoting them because we've developed them and created the talent necessary to take the company forward to the next phase. So that's been an important parallel in the development of the organization to make sure that the human talent is capable as well as the systems are capable.
And you put it perfectly, actually, because I was going to say it definitely feels like over the last year there's been that shift in terms of people. I think the technology absolutely has enabled it, but there's a conscious effort to really develop the existing talent you have and progress them a lot more celebration of talent as well. How proud are you of that and your people in terms of what's happening there at Dubai Airports?
Well, I think the thing is, look, so many CEOs would sit down and say, look, people are our most important asset, and it's a great soundbite to put out. But actually, if you really think about it, what differentiates an organization more than the quality of its people and the quality of the service it's able to deliver? You can have great tech, but if you've got a sort of soulless, faceless, joyless person operating the tech, it's not actually going to be a great customer experience. What we want is people to feel motivated, and I think that's where you start. What motivates people to feel like they're part of an organization they're proud to work for and they want to be part of? And we decided, actually, if we took people that were graduating from institutions, particularly in Dubai, particularly our local graduates, and we put them on a training program where they can learn and grow their skills in different departments in the organization, and we continue to invest in them, they really, really take pride in and see their career develop, and they're given opportunities that other companies perhaps wouldn't give them. And I'm very proud of the fact that 78% of my management team are locally grown talents that we recruited now as graduate trainees 10 to 15 years ago. And the good thing, and I think this is absolutely key, when you have promoted people several times and you put them in a position of authority, the fact that they know they're there because they are the best and they stood out an interview process compared to others. That's a great sense of pride, rather than feeling that they've been given that because of some sort of other influence. So I think that's had a huge impact on the culture of the organisation and the sense of responsibility that each of our individual staff members has assumed because of the way we have invested in them. They're now investing in us because we invested in them.
Yeah, and that's really evident, as I said. So, look, delving into Dubai airports a bit more, as you say, some incredible numbers, which I'm sure you're proud of. I think we would love to get into the journey from COVID and what actually Dubai has done. I mean, I've witnessed it firsthand living there. But for the viewers that don't see that, what can people expect this winter? Because it's only going to get busier. I think we're seeing that. And what exciting plans have you got in place to make sure you can maintain those numbers, further grow them, but also maintain that customer experience?
Well, I mentioned that the airport really breaks down into two component parts. There's the flow space and the dwell space. The flow space is the area where we want to actually take as much away as we possibly can. Take away the bureaucratic processes that we've forced people to go through since time immemorial. Since about 1903, I think there's been bureaucratic process in the aviation industry. And I don't know how many products and services that people consume that there are still so many steps in the consumption of them. When you check into a hotel now, you check in, you've usually pre-booked, everything's done, you just pick up your key and that's it. You can enjoy yourself, spend your time the way you want to spend it. We still have baggage, we still have passport control, we still have security, we still have check-in, we have all of those steps. And I think what we're going to try and do is take a lot of that away. We're already trialling biometric check-in so that we can combine both the passport checking and the check-in process to the airline itself into a single transaction. That's already in trial, and we hope to be able to roll that out. That means we can get rid of that physical step of actually requiring people to go through gates and be identified as leaving the country. Security, it's an absolute necessity because obviously it's our number one priority, but does it have to be so intrusive? And we're investigating ways of making it both more reliable, more secure and less intrusive and crucially faster for every customer. We don't want that horrible soundbite, empty your pockets, have you got any liquids, laptops out, shoes off, belt off, all of those things, that instructions that are barked at people. These are our customers. They shouldn't be treated like that. So we can make the actual security process just as robust, but a really quite slick experience where there's no instructions. You keep everything in your bags. You just go through the process in a very non-stop, effortless way. Then it's going to be a much better experience for people.
I mean, it comes across very passionately and very strongly how intricately you are looking at every customer journey point. And I think I can say from experience, I think about things like the smart gates. Even today you would say, okay, that's being introduced in a lot of places, but even to the fact now you don't even need your passport on some occasions. It's just your biometrics. It seems like to me the way you've instilled in your business is for people, as you say, how can we continue to improve, not just stay put and be happy with what we're doing. I think it sounds like necessity because of your desire to continue to grow, but equally keeping that customer experience going.
Well, I think there are three things. The first thing is, one of the things I'm really delighted is how all of the government entities, the GDRFA, who are responsible for border control, customs, police, who are responsible for security, how they have actually come to the party. They've seen the customer experience we're trying to create. They really understand it. And I spend a lot of time going to talk to them, thanking them for their contribution. And it's quite interesting. We've got a little bit of internal competition. Who can deliver the best customer experience? And we actually reward that by having a chairman's award ceremony where we nominate those who've delivered the best customer-facing innovation, who've made the biggest process improvement, and actually thanking them. And that's actually worked very well. Yeah. Everyone wants to be seen to have done the best thing by the customer, and it's great to have that little bit of internal competition to do that. I think the second thing is also never be afraid to take a punt, as we said earlier, on new technology. You know, you might implement something, but there may be something on the way already that's even better. So remain open to the prospect of the fact that that technology could be redundant in 12 months because there may be something better. That isn't a cost that's been spent badly. It's gained actually valuable experience, and now is the time to invest in the next solution. And the thing that irritates me, I think, mostly when I travel through airports is where you see entities that have invested in technology, they install it and they forget it. Yeah. How many times have you been through an airport where they may have, say, 12 smart passport gates, yet only 2 of them are in service? Exactly. And you get a massive queue as a result? That's not improving customer service. That's not great technology. It's basically abdicating to a machine and then failing to maintain the machine. The actual outcome of that is worse because you're creating an expectation of modernity, then failing to deliver it. Yeah. So absolute focus, not just on making sure you've got the latest technology, but the technology that you have rolled out is actually working and maintained is just as important in my view.
No, it makes sense. Staying with Dubai airports, but actually I can now see the narrative here, because actually as you're pushing new ways of working, you've got a bustling airport which is exceeding all records when it comes to capacity. And then we have the announcement of what is going to be something amazing when it comes to the UAE, or globally, in terms of Maktoum International Airport. How excited are you to be involved in that? And I think this conversation has been on the cards for a long time, and we finally now hear about it. I mean, we're in the early stages. I'm sure you're heavily involved in what that looks like. What can the customer expect when it comes to Maktoum International Airport?
Well, the first thing is, as I've always said, the devil is in the design. We've got to make sure that when we are conceiving an airport the size and scale, and crucially of the service quality that we want to deliver, that we are actually designing for something that's flexible enough to take account of what's really important in the future. And the difficulty, of course, is I can't tell you now what type of fuel we'll be using to fly in 10 or 20 years' time. I can't tell you what sort of fuel infrastructure we'll need. Will it be hydrogen? Will it be conventional Jet A1? Will it be a mix of sustainable aviation fuel? Will we have moved to some form of nuclear or electricity-based power by then? It's very difficult to say where we'll be. So to design something that's got to last for the next 50 or 100 years is even more difficult. So I think the key is to have an open mind, to consider what the technology is, and actually to separate very, very clearly what the difference in the 2 modes of an airport operation are, flow and dwell. The dwell spaces need to be intimate, they need to be within easy walking distance of the aircraft. We need to have all of our lounges, all of our retail operations clustered in those nodes. They cannot be too big so that they're not perceived to be really overbearing and quite difficult for customers to feel comfortable within. But they've got to be passenger orientated and friendly. Conversely, the flow areas of the airport need to be compact, walking distances need to be minimized, and we need to get the maximum number of people through in the minimum possible time.
We're getting the applause for the sell of Maktoum Airport here as well. Absolutely, Perfect. Okay, I'm just conscious of time. I know we've got limited time with you, but I just wanted to talk about the fact that you joined Dubai Airports in 2007. What does it mean personally for you to see that journey, not only currently DXB, but now where we're culminating when it comes to Maktoum International?
Well, it's been a remarkable journey and an incredible opportunity, and I really feel that when I got the call and was offered the opportunity, if I'd have said no, my life would have been far less rich, and I'd have far less positive experiences than the ones I've had over the last 17 years. It's been an amazing journey, and I don't think there are many people in any industry all the way around the world that have had the opportunity to triple the scale of their operation, to embrace so many new opportunities and different technologies, and to really build from the ground up a new organization. As I mentioned earlier, when I started, we had a huge number of staff. A lot of them weren't actually that well trained or looked after or put in any sort of capacity that really made them feel very useful. So to have been able to migrate from that to a highly efficient model, and to be able to triple the throughput through about the same amount of infrastructure in that time has been an incredible achievement, not just for me, but for all of the people that have worked with me. But the biggest thing, I think, as I mentioned earlier, has been the ability to grow our own talent, to put our own personality, and for all of the people who are now make such a large part of our organisation that have been drawn from the local workforce, to give them that career opportunity. That, I think, will be my abiding proud moment if I could choose just one.
Fantastic. Well, you answered my next question, which was about those proud moments. So the bit I am going to ask you about is, over the years, like you said, you've interacted with a lot of people, I'm sure, a lot of guidance along the way, both from yourself and to you. What would be the best piece of advice you've been given that stays with you?
I think the best piece of advice came from Richard Branson, and that was the biggest gift you can give a person is self-confidence. So from a very young age, if they're exhibiting traits that need to be encouraged, give them praise, give them recognition. And I think if you carry that through life, the loyalty, the commitment, the confidence, the innovation, and the capability that people can deliver will always surpass your expectations.
Yeah, that's really, really good, actually. It's normally you'd be talking about very hard skills and what have you, but actually sometimes as simple as, like you said, in the importance of self-confidence. So we're rapidly running out of time, so I'm conscious you've got to jump on a flight as well. So we're just going to end with a segment which we call the quick fire round. Yep. And in that, we're just going to ask you some questions, one-worded answers, maybe a couple of words more if you need them to explain.
Sure.
So I'm just going to get the list up for you. Right. Paul, favourite aircraft type?
747.
Okay. Favourite airport? That can't be your own.
LaGuardia.
Okay, nice. Window seat or aisle seat?
Window.
Chicken or beef?
Chicken.
Perfect. One item that you can't travel without?
Laptop.
Laptop. Strangest in-flight experience you've ever had?
Being the only passenger on a flight all the way from St. Lucia to London and having a steward just to look after me.
Wow. Okay. Quite weird, but also quite interesting. Okay. Dream destination you haven't visited yet?
Tahiti.
Nice. Your earliest aviation memory?
Seeing the Rolls-Royce logo on a BAC 111 on my first flight and feeling greatly reassured as I walked up the steps into the aircraft.
Amazing. Great. Things that inspire you most about this travel industry?
The wanderlust that it unlocks in people. The desire to travel is an innate quality I think so many people blossom when they discover.
The thing you most dislike about the aviation travel industry?
Queues.
It's good to hear. That's good to hear. The CEO of Dubai Airports thinks that way. That's great. One aviation myth that you'd want to debunk?
The biggest is not always best.
Perfect. Great. Future of aviation, electric planes or supersonic travel?
Electric planes.
Perfect. And then finally, one innovation you think will change air travel in the next decade?
personal air mobility.
Perfect. Well, that's the end of our quick fire round. So thank you very much. It was quick. It was on fire, I think, as well. We'll definitely be able to snip that one up. But look, incredibly privileged and honoured for you to take the time out to sit with us. It's particularly for our viewers, really inspiring them and making them understand how important what we're talking about here is people, and how they interact with technology and what it can create, and we see that today in Dubai airports and hopefully in the future. So thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it. For our viewers, as we always say, please like, comment and subscribe. That's how we're able to get such amazing guests that can hopefully inspire us to do greater in this aviation industry space. So Paul, thank you very much, and best of luck for the rest of your trip.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.